Walker, KO, Walker, KO, Walker, KO, Walker, KO. Red, white, and black. Big Tommy White. Let's do it. Man, they think they can see us, man. Get that song with you shit, my niggas. They can't see us. Well, see my birds and leave. You understand, nigga? Zone City. Whatever.
The devil never gives up.
She knows who I am. Where's the other girl?
I don't want to go to hell.
God played that trick on you.
There are 2 heartbeats.
What's going on, YouTube? We back in the Low Key Cave, Keyshawn Niles YouTube page, aka Mr. Low Key, aka the Low Key Horror Cave, and we back with another movie review. And yes, finally, we got the new Exorcist Believer, coming from your boy David Gordon Green, of course, who came out and rebooted the Halloween franchise as far as making a direct sequel to the original Halloween movie, and now he's doing the same thing with the Exorcist movie. And we've kind of have we had an onslaught of these type of horror films doing this, as far as ignoring all the other sequels and making a direct sequel to the original movie? Texas Chainsaw Massacre has had a very hard time of pulling this off. They probably one of the only franchises that's not been able to really get back on track outside of what they did with 2003's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They've never really been able to do it, and they've done this twice, if I'm not mistaken, with trying to do like a direct sequel to the original movie. But anyway, let's see if The Exorcist can live up to the hype and be able to pull off something that all these other possession films and even the Exorcist sequels have not been able to do. The opening scene to this movie is good. It's a good way of drawing us in, and I thought maybe they were going to go into a similar direction of the other original movie that came out in 1973 as far as The Exorcist, because of how this looks the way it's opening. It's a lot of similar imagery like the original film, but they don't go in that direction. They actually go into a different direction, and once again, I'm not going to go into super details, but it definitely makes sure you get established with the character of Tanner and his daughter Angela. And once again, I like this setup because once again, it's just drawing us into these characters and, you know, making us want to follow these people, because this movie is definitely based around more so Tanner and his daughter Angela, I would say, than the other girl, Catherine, and her family, which it does kind of focus on their family dynamics and things that's going on with them. But to me, the movie is more so focused on Tanner and Angela's story. With all that being said, man, the first half of this movie is definitely probably the best part, because once they get all our characters established and we go into the whole thing with Angela and Catherine going missing, that's like the height of this movie, because it almost turned, you almost forget, well, for me personally, I almost forgot I was watching the Exorcist movie, and it turned into somewhat of a thriller. It can go to like movies like Prisoners, you know, with Hugh Jackman, and you know, those type of films where you got a child missing, not only a child but 2 kids missing. So it definitely took it up a notch as far as getting into them states of what's going on, where they at. And I almost feel like if they would have kind of left it at that little bit of a mystery, we might have had a better movie. But I know this is about somebody being possessed or whatever, so we got to get the ball rolling. But honestly, at the first half of this movie was really, it had my draw in, because once again, just the whole thing of being a parent and going through that paranoia, not knowing where your kids are, and then out of nowhere they just popping back up 3 days later, and they in this stage of like they don't know that they've been gone this long and stuff. So that was a real good draw in. And even when they came back, getting to the point of them kind of being like not all here, not all together, and them slowly starting to go through the whole process of the possessions, it's like that went bad. And actually got some good little creepy moments, because I don't know what the hell they about to start doing, because the first original movie, you got Reagan going through her process, and it's more so her being contained to her bed, but when shit starts to go left and she really starts to amp it up or whatever, it starts Reagan in that first movie, like, man, even with her just being in that bed is a very, very effective scene. Because like I said, I was so much with that whole paranormal of her mother having to be in that same house as her and just having to keep going by that bedroom and hearing her talk the way she's talking and not being her normal self and just all this, man, that was me more terrifying than anything, having to deal with that and being a mother and not being able to, you know what I'm saying, give up on your kid, being there constantly for them. But when it came to this, and I think when they started to go through their possession as far as Angela and Catherine, it definitely didn't have that same impact as the first one. Like, even with two of them, neither one of them kind of stood out in a way. They was somewhat on the same pace as far as the possession and the things they was doing. Reagan was on some different timing, bro. The way she was cussing people out, the way she was doing the things with the crucifix to her body and stuff, it was just way, way more beyond than anything these two girls are doing in this movie. Like, it's some shit that even got funny to me at one point where Angela come in there and she do some shit to her daddy. I'm like, bro. And another thing I would say with Tanner is that I feel like his sense of urgency was kind of off sometimes. It was like he didn't have the energy. It was, my baby, what's wrong with my baby? Like, what's going on? What is this? It was more so him walking around like, I don't know, because he doesn't believe. He don't believe in anything. And the parents of Catherine are very, very religious based. They heavily are in the church, and it does somewhat seem like it come to bite them in the ass later on. We're going to talk about a little bit. But Catherine's parents are definitely more heavy since in the church. So when things start to go left with her, they are on this type of time where they feel like they can handle it themselves, because Tanner lets Angela stay in the hospital. Good idea, brother. Good idea. They try to take Catherine home, and that shit goes left. So once again, even with all of that going on, neither one of them was able to, you know what I'm saying, grab me the way Reagan did in that original movie. Like, it was not as disturbing as what she was going through in that original movie, even with these two girls. And at some type of point, it feels like they kind of took Angela's transformation a little bit more over the top, even with her look. I mean, it almost went to some like Evil Dead type shit with her look. And I'll be honest, they didn't do enough. It was like, I know they possessed, but it's like they ain't really cussing nobody out like, you know, Reagan was doing, going off like, I'm just saying you needed that, because that was kind of what took that, not over the top, but made people so disturbed with that. Like, why is this child talking like this, or why she's doing these things? And even with the voiceovers or whatever, it just didn't grab the way it did with that original movie. Once we get to the whole thing with them trying to do the exorcism, man, it wasn't it. Like, the build up that we had for the original movie with that priest, as far as Damien, and I think his name was Maris, the other priest. But those two priests and what they have to go through and the process they have to go through with Reagan and all the shit they end up going through is nowhere. It didn't have none of the impact like that movie with this one. This one did not have that impact at all. It is one scene in here though where they even had a dramatic music where we have a priest come in and it's like he about to save the day as far as this new movie, and that shit go loud. And I don't know if it was supposed to be funny, and I'm pretty sure it probably wasn't. You were supposed to be probably freaked out, like, oh no. But nah, man, that shit was funny as hell. Because he come in there and it making it, like I said, the music didn't help because it's got this whole dramatic effect. Like he about to come in and do with the other priests or whatever you want to call them, because they got everybody and somewhat religion in there trying to pull off this exorcism. Everybody, you know, trying to do something to help these two girls. So they bringing every religion pretty much in to do their own exorcism the way they do it together though. So when this priest come in, because he was warned too, like, you need to stay away from it. You don't need to be here. You don't need to be a part of it. He goes in, man, that was a good scene to me. It was a good scene. It was funny, but it was a good scene because I did not see that shit coming. But more so than anything, we definitely don't get that priest scene. We don't even have, I don't feel like, priest in this movie outside of the one they introduced, which definitely don't have that same feeling, the impact of the priest Damien from the original movie. But I was interested to see where they was going to go with this ending. Were they going to go try to do the similar direction that they did in the original, which I feel like they definitely couldn't do that. It would be too much of a copycat. So I gotta admit, the direction they end up going in, I did not see coming. Once again, you put a kid or put kids in a position of danger, it's already terrifying. But to go the whole way to do something which I didn't know they was gonna pull off, which I'm not gonna give away, I was like, okay, wow. One thing though, I do have an issue somewhat with that ending, is it kind of gave off a feeling of Stranger Things or Nightmare on Elm Street a little. Like it did for me. I don't know how anybody else feel, but that ending kind of gave me that. At the same time, it gave me a little of a dread too, and I needed that because up until this point, outside of the opening, the middle is definitely a little lackluster. Even with them being possessed and leading even into the exorcism or whatever, it's not all there for me, man. But once we get to that impact of that ending, because it works for what Tanner and Angela are going through, especially Tanner in his moments, because like I said, he got some moments where it feel like his sense of urgency just not there. But at this ending, when he really trying to save his daughter, and you can feel it and you can see it, it does kind of help in those moments, especially when you don't know what is going to actually happen at that end. And then when things go down, it's like, what's going on? Who, like, what's what? And then when it actually happens, it was like, oh shit, okay. I even got a little feeling to drag me to hell at this ending. And like I said, I'm not gonna get in the way, but it's somewhat of an impact at the same time, though. You could tell that they are setting up a lot of shit for a trilogy. And that's probably was the issue too, is them, as far as them announcing an actual trilogy and people going in this probably knowing like, okay, we got another movie coming. So outside of that being said, I have not really talked about Chris coming back as far as the mother from the original, as far as Reagan's mother, because this shit is just jacked up the way they bring her back. Like, man, I'm not gonna get nothing away, but when she comes in, it's a lot of shit is on the nose too. It's St. Laura Strode in Halloween when she came back. A lot of her shit is on the nose. Like, I know, you know who I am, this and the third. And they start going to that whole thing of, y'all remember this from the first movie? Y'all know Reagan, y'all know all of this, and they want to make sure they bring in that. So it was definitely probably an issue too, with them being very heavy, nostalgic with the original movie and her coming in. But what they do with her though, and what they do to her, I feel like it was kind of disrespectful. Like, why y'all bring this character in to do this to her? But like I said, it seems like they're trying to set shit up for a sequel. They do give a little. It's hard to say I like the surprise at the end. I kind of do, but at the same time, it was so pushed in because you knew where this was leading to. Especially the conversation that Chris has with Tanner when he first go there to kind of seek her help or whatever to help with his daughter when she going through. But outside of that being said, man, I ain't gonna front. Like, I'm probably be interested in seeing what they're gonna do with this sequel, because I do kind of want some answers to see if certain situations are finished, or are they gonna try to, you know what I'm saying, go do something to try to. I don't want to give nothing away. That's what I'm not trying to do. With all that being said, man, y'all let me know how y'all feeling about this new Exorcist Believer. Did y'all like it? How do y'all compare it to the original movie outside of the other, I would say, sequels and even other exorcism movies? How do y'all feel about it? Other than that, make sure you hit that like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that notification bell, let you know when I upload new videos. Other than that, we out.